Welcome, friends. We're glad that you have chosen to study the Word with us. We've been asking questions that arise out of the study of the Bible, and today's question is no different. It's a question that has puzzled people and has disturbed churches in times past and presently. That question is, must everyone who partakes of the communion drink from the same vessel? When one looks in the book of Matthew, he finds Jesus instituting the Lord's Supper. It was the night in which he was betrayed. It's something that he commanded should be done in remembrance of him. And when he took the cup in Matthew 26, he said, "Drink ye all of it." And from this has arisen an understanding, we believe a misunderstanding, of what Jesus meant. Some conclude that when Jesus said, "Drink ye all of it," that he was commanding every person in that assembly to drink from the same vessel. Was that what Jesus meant? I think not. What Jesus was doing was he was using a figure of speech that we call metonymy. And that means that you name one thing to suggest something else. And that is not something that is rare. It is commonly done. And it is commonly done in the New Testament. The Apostle Paul so used it. When we turn to 1 Corinthians in the 10th chapter, the Apostle Paul wrote to the Corinthian church, many of whom had formerly been members that were idolaters. And they wanted to mix both their former religion and their religion in Jesus together. And Paul says you can't do that. I want you to notice what Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter. And as he speaks in verse 21, he says, "You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons." Now watch it. You cannot partake of the table of the Lord and the table of demons. Now that's interesting, because in this instance, the Apostle Paul is talking about the bread. And when he talks about the bread, and perhaps including both the fruit of the vine and the bread, he tells these that were Corinthians that they could not partake of the table that pagans drank and seek to be in fellowship with Christ and partake of the table of the Lord. No one misunderstands what Jesus meant. Nobody understands Jesus to mean that you've got to eat the table, do you? Well, certainly not. We partake of the table. What did Paul mean? Well, he said literally a table, but he named the table to identify what was on the table, the bread, the fruit of the vine. And Jesus didn't mean that when he said to the disciples, "Drink ye all of it," that all of them had to drink out of the same vessel. For instance, as we look in 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, when Jesus talked about this, and Paul records what Jesus had said, he had said to them that the cup we drink of is that has to do with the remembrance of the blood of Christ. And he said, as often as you drink this cup and eat this bread, you do show the Lord's death till I come. Now think about it. He didn't say in this passage, as often as you drink from the cup. He said, as often as you drink the cup. Now, friend, you can drink what's in that cup, but you better not try to drink the cup. You'll get yourself into a serious problem. We don't drink the vessel. We do drink what's in the vessel. But Jesus talked about drinking the cup and teaching them that they were to drink the fruit of the vine. Look again. As we look in Jesus' institution of the supper, we find that Jesus had this to say. He said, take this cup, and divide it among yourselves. The disciples were commanded to divide the cup among themselves. Was he talking about a literal vessel? You know better than that. He wasn't talking about them taking and smashing to pieces the vessel that it was that held the fruit of the vine. When he said, take it and divide it among yourselves, he was talking about what was in that vessel. Jesus may have called the fruit of the vine the vessel, the cup, but he did not mean a literal cup. They could drink the fruit of the vine. They could not literally drink the vessel. They could divide literally what was in that cup, but they couldn't divide literally that vessel itself, the cup. I think it wise for us to go back to the book of Matthew, from whence the passage that people have so much difficulty with, and to look further. We referred to one verse, Matthew, the 26th chapter and verse 27. And he took a cup and gave thanks and gave to them, saying, drink ye all of it. And we stopped right there because that's where many people stop. Drink ye. And they're talking about the vessel. Well, let's just look. Keep on reading. Now, having read verse 27, let's look at verse 28. He was talking about the cup. And notice what he says in verse 28. For this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many unto remission of sin. Now, what was the blood of the cup? What represented it? The vessel? Does that vessel represent the pouring out of the blood of Jesus Christ? Well, my friends, you know better than that. It was the fruit of the vine that was in that vessel that represented, if I may use that word, calls to our mind the blood of Jesus Christ. The vessel does not in any way represent the matter of Jesus' blood poured out for me. But now let's look at another verse. Same context, talking about the cup. Now let's look also at verse 29. But I say unto you, I shall not drink henceforth of the fruit of the vine. He explains to you, see, what the cup is. He took a cup. He said, drink ye all of it. And then he talks about the cup, and he said, it's that is the new covenant, my blood. That gives you better understanding. But there's no mistaking what he had in mind. He's still talking about the cup he tells them all to drink of. And he said in verse 29, I shall not drink from henceforth of this fruit of the vine. He took a cup. He said, drink of it. And the cup that he was talking about was the fruit of the vine. And so, my friends, it is not Christ's command, nor will, that every person who partakes of communion must everyone drink from the same vessel. Must we all drink of the same cup in that it's the fruit of the vine? Yes, we must do that. We cannot substitute. Can't substitute water for it. Can't substitute soda water for it. We must drink all from the same element, the fruit of the vine. And so we hope that this examination of this passage that sometimes is misunderstood is clearer to you. In our next discussion, we're going to discuss the question, what about a woman? Is it sinful for her to wear gold ornaments? We think that'll be an interesting discussion for you to hear, and we hope you'll tune in and listen to us. Do you have a question? If you have a question at the conclusion of this video, There are instructions to you as to how you can send your own question to us. And in time, we'll do our very best to deal with it. Thank you. May God bless you.